Hi guys, if you're new here, my name's Lottie, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a really fun one because it is Massey Block inspired. If you read the Click books or watched the movie, I know it was a big thing for me in my middle school days. Massey Block is kind of the founding father, should we say, of the ins and outs list, and I thought it'd be so fun today just kind of sit down like we're on FaceTime and yap about the ins and outs that I have written down for my bookish State of the Union for 2025. Okay, so I wrote down my list of ins and outs in my bookish journal. So we're actually going to start with the outs today. So these are things that I want to leave in 2024. I thought we should start with these so that we can end on a positive note. The first one I have written down is only reading a book because it's popular. I feel like this is something that I can struggle with, and it does take some trial and error, but I will say after being super into reading for a couple years now, I feel like I should know my taste and myself well enough to kind of be able to discern whether a really popular book is going to be something that I will like or not. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to not be reading any popular books. I think this is just one for me that I want to be more mindful of this year because oftentimes books just get so much hype and I am going to pick it up because I want to know what all the hype's about without really stopping to pause and think like, does this genre, does this plot line, does it really appeal to me? All this to say, I just want to kind of like embrace my actual taste and like own it. So that is my first thing I want to leave in 2024. The next thing I want to leave in 2024 is finishing books that I'm not enjoying. I feel like if I am halfway through a book and it's not even at 3 stars, I should stop reading it. And this is something that's hard for me because I think when you talk about like TV shows, movies, it's so easy for me to turn those off when I'm not enjoying them because I don't log them anywhere. I think the thing that I struggle with reading is that like I don't want to have to log that I didn't finish the book. I want to just be able to like mark it as completed. I like have a reading goal of how many books I want to read this year. I don't have a goal of like how many TV shows or episodes or movies I want to watch. So I don't think about that when I stop watching something. I just like turn it off and go to something else instead. But with reading, like I am a goal-oriented gal, and so it's easy for me to be like, well, I'm already halfway through this book. Like I don't want to have to start a whole new one when I'm already like halfway through this one. But if I'm not liking it, I feel like I should not waste my time, and I would rather not meet my reading goal and be able to say that I DNF'd like 5 or 6 or 10 books this year than meet my reading goal but have had like a miserable time getting there. Do you know what I mean? I want my average rating of like all the books I read this year to sit closer to like a 4-star because this past year I think it was at like a 3.6, which isn't terrible. I think it would be really nice if we could get that up to like a 3.8 or a 4. That's kind of another bookish goal, I guess, for the year, but really just the theme of like DNFing. I am such like a perfectionist kind of type A person that I find myself just wanting to like complete the book and check it off. I want to be able to say that I finished it and like be able to know what I'm talking about when I say I didn't like a book.
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, in every.
I think if I'm not liking it, like I said, I need to just be able to DNF it. So forcing myself to finish books that I'm not enjoying is out. The next out for 2025 is comparing myself to other readers, just in general. I think this is so easy to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, how have you read like this many books this week? Or how have you read like every popular book? And you know, some people have been on their reading journeys a lot longer than me. And it's easy for me to feel behind, like, oh, I haven't read this series or that series, but it's also something that's really exciting to look forward to. And so I want to be more of that mindset, like, oh, I'm so behind. No, I have so much to look forward to. That is kind of the adjustment that I want to make in my headspace around that this year. And then just in general, like comparing myself in terms of like how fast I read or what I'm reading or how I talk about what I'm reading or the content that I'm making. So comparing myself to other readers and really just other people in general is something I'm definitely wanting to leave in 2024. Okay, the next thing that I vote we all leave in 2024 is the constant Taylor Swift references in books. I feel like I have started encountering this more and more. And before we dive into this whole point, I want to say I am a true Swiftie. Like I love Taylor Swift. She's my top artist every year. I think where I get annoyed with the Taylor Swift references is ones that I feel like you're putting in there for like marketing purposes. The commodification of like trying to work Taylor Swift lyrics or references into your work, especially when like the author isn't a Swiftie. I feel like you can just tell. And I don't want to sound like a crazy Swiftie here, and I don't want to sound like I'm like gatekeeping like who can be a Taylor Swift fan. I'm down for the references to continue, but I want them to feel genuine and authentic, either to the author or to the story, or ideally both. So that is one that came to mind for me too that I want to leave in 2024. Okay, the next out in 2025 is the freaking half covers. Let me find one. Okay, here's what I mean by the half covers. I leave this in 2024. I don't want to see a singular book like this ever again. I hate these. The cover not going across the entire width of the book. Oh my gosh, it irks me so bad. Nothing against this book. I actually haven't even finished this one. It's from my TBR cart. But that is something that I just despise. Like, why did we ever start that? It's not cute. It's just ugly. And like, I hate it. Let me know if you hate it too, because like, oof, it grinds my gears. Going right along with that one, the next bookish out I have for 2025 is stickers on the cover. We do not need stickers put on the book cover. The only exception I will allow is the signed copy sticker that I feel like you see sometimes. But even with this sticker, I'm like, can we all agree on a location where we're putting this? Because I don't like where this sticker got put, but I also don't want to take the signed copy sticker off of here. Why are we putting stickers on covers at all? I feel like it's not needed, and it's just an opportunity to have like torn sticker pieces all over the cover of your book and to feel sad about it, or to chip your nail. And that's just, none of us need that. You know, we don't need that stress in our lives. Let's leave it in 2024. Oh, this is a good one. My next out is trite debates on if audiobooks count as reading. I'm like tired of these conversations, guys. I feel like I hear us debating this like every other week. We all have the same points to make, and I'm just tired of the discourse on this. I feel like no one's adding anything to the conversation at this point. And no hate, because I definitely like talked about this with my friends and family this year. I think audiobooks count as reading, and like, let's just, case closed. They count as reading. Let's move on. Oh my gosh. Okay, my next out for 2025 is simply this quote. She let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Guys, I'm so tired of this cliche. I feel like I saw it in a book the other day and it gave me a jump scare, because I just don't expect to see this quote anymore. And every time I do, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I genuinely consider lowering like a half to full star rating off a book when I see this, because I'm just like, guys, we have got to move on from she let out a breath she didn't know she was holding, or they did. It could be she, he, they, whoever. I just cannot with that anymore. Let's try something new. Let's get a little fresh. Okay, my next out may be slightly controversial, question mark, but it is the age gap trope. I want to leave the age gap trope in 2024. I personally don't think I'm going to be seeking out many books this year with that trope. I think it's just not for me. I don't love it, and that's okay. I was gonna say that like if the woman is the older person in the age gap trope, I don't mind it as much, but to be honest, I don't love it either way, because I think sometimes it's unrealistic, the maturity levels that the younger men have with the older woman in those age gap trope books. For me personally, I think I'm going to try to leave that trope in 2024 and find some new romance books that don't have that going into the new year. Okay, and then my last out on my bookish State of the Union for 2025 is spine heights not matching. I'm gonna be honest, I understand that books come in all shapes and sizes, so I don't expect all of these books right here to be the same height. Would I like it? Yes. Would I prefer if we had like a standard height, at least for like a certain genre, like adult fiction or adult romance that is like a paperback? Yeah, I would like that. But I understand we can't necessarily standardize that, and it can be really hard. We don't want to waste money, whatever reason. I don't work in publishing. What I can't stand, respectfully, to Miss Abby Jimenez and her team, is why do my Part of Your World books, why are they different heights? If books are a part of a series, please keep them the same height, because like, what is going on here? I don't know if you guys can see here, but yours truly is like a solid inch, half an inch shorter than the other two Part of Your World and Just for the Summer. Why is that? This irks me so much. So I would like for us to all consider how a series is going to look together on the shelf and make it cohesive. And like, honestly, not even like a series, just all books from an author. Like from one author, I want to be able to have my author all together and have them match, have them coordinate. Let's keep them the same height. I feel like I want to see a little more effort in that going into the new year. Okay, those are all of the outs that I have written on my State of the Union. Now let's talk about what my bookish ins are for the year, things that I want to see more of or do more of in 2025. Okay, the very first in that I have for 2025 is mood reading. I feel like I am a self-proclaimed mood reader, but it can also be difficult to mood read and read your monthly TBR. Ironically, I also have on this list monthly TBRs. So I feel like I want to be better at like letting both coexist this year. So I think it's really fun to set a monthly TBR, but I also am such a big mood reader. So the way that I'm kind of remedying this, I think, is perhaps making smaller monthly TBRs to allow more space in the month for mood reading. But also I could make larger TBRs with a diverse range of books that allow for me to pick from like any kind of mood I might be in. I feel like I struggle to know which way to go. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I really just want to give myself more grace when it comes to reading what I want to read, not reading what I don't want to read, but also making an effort to read my TBR, it allows me to kind of get outside my comfort zone as well, which is something else that is important to me heading into the new year. I feel like it's so easy to get comfy and just kind of read the same genre or types of books or series or something like that, which is great. And you should do that if you're having fun. But I think for me too, I find myself hesitant to like branch out sometimes. And I feel like the monthly TBRs is a great way to be like, no, I'm reading this month. Whenever inspiration strikes, I'm picking this one up, but it's on the list and I need to look for a moment where I'm feeling it and I'm going to go for it. And I feel like that has really helped me like lean into some books that kind of I was avoiding that I knew I was going to like, but I was intimidated by. Kind of allowing for harmony between the two this year is something I want to do. Okay, the next in for 2025 that I have is using my Spotify audiobook hours. I feel like some months I'm really good at this and then I run out of my hours like right away. And then some months I feel like I'm like, wait, did I use my Spotify hours? If you have Spotify Premium, you get 15 free hours of audiobook listening per month. And I find myself using it some months and then forgetting about it others. So I feel like I just want to be more mindful to make sure I'm leveraging that I am already paying for that benefit and I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of it. Okay, my next in is stopping in the middle of a series if you're not having fun. This is so in. This is so chic. This is quiche.
And if you don't know, quiche is a word that I made up. And it basically means hot, but like it's a step above hot.
Yeah.
It's like more than just hot.
All the cool girls are quitting series that they're not enjoying this year. I really want to romanticize quitting a series if you don't like it. And I will say I kind of struggle with this because sometimes I feel ambivalent about a series. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And so I don't know what to do. Should I continue? Should I not? And so I think that's also where the being okay with DNFing comes in more. I feel even more entrenched and it's harder to DNF those books because you're like, wait, but it's the next one in the series and I'm going to complete the series and blah, blah, blah. And I feel all this pressure to like check these boxes when that shouldn't be what reading's about. So that is one that I definitely want to bring into the new year. Like no pressure on myself to keep reading a series if I don't want to continue it. Simple as that. Okay, the next in that I have on my State of the Union is, Libro FM. This is a good one. I recently learned about Libro FM. All the hot girls are canceling their Audible subscriptions and getting a Libro FM subscription. This is not sponsored, by the way. Basically, with Libro FM, you can choose a local independent bookstore to support instead of Amazon. And you basically can buy audiobooks or have a subscription where you get a credit for an audiobook each month. I think that is an amazing swap to make this year, especially if you're a big Kindle user. Cause like I feel kind of guilty sometimes using my Kindle because I'm like, oh, I keep supporting Amazon with these ebook purchases or with Kindle Unlimited. And I think it's a great way to kind of like hopefully cancel out some of your guilt. Of course, we want to be in the net positives of giving more of our money to small independent bookstores and local sellers. But I think it's not practical to like never use your Kindle again or not have Kindle Unlimited or things like that. And so for me, I'm just trying to find more ways to kind of like balance out. Like for every purchase I make through Amazon, I want to try to make a purchase through like a local indie bookstore. And so that is one swap you could make this year. That would be super easy to do. And I think I would feel even more excited listening to my audiobooks, knowing I'm supporting a local business. So all the hot girls are listening to Libro FM. The next in that I have is diversifying genres. So I think for me last year, I kind of got more into literary fiction and realized how much I enjoy that genre. And this year I want to continue to kind of expand my horizons, if you will. I want to read some more fantasy. I've definitely read a decent amount of romantasy, but I'm interested to read more just like fantasy books, also sci-fi, maybe some horror, some memoirs, test the waters in everything. Like again, with DNFing, like if I hate it, I can stop reading it, I can put it down. Just challenging myself to get a little bit outside my comfort zone because you never know what you may like. And I feel like Game of Thrones is one of my like favorite TV shows of all time. And I never would have expected that unless my family sat me down and like forced me to start watching it. It's kind of the same with books. Like I just kind of want to give myself a chance to find something new that I may love. So that is definitely an in for 2025. Okay, my next bookish in for the year is finishing series I'm in the middle of. So I know I said like don't finish a series if you're not enjoying it. If I'm enjoying a series though, I want to be better about like reading the next one and the next one and finishing it a little bit quicker. I'm someone who when I really love a series, I want to like binge the series and read them all back to back. But I feel like since starting making bookish YouTube videos and content, I have kind of not let myself do that because I feel like my monthly reading wrap-ups or like reading vlogs would be more boring if I'm like, yeah, and then I read like all of these books in like the Shatter Me series, for example, which is on my TBR. That is all I have to show for the month is like, oh, I have this entire series and that's all I read this month. It feels more boring in my head to share that. I think I like put this pressure on myself of like, oh, I want to have like a diverse set of genres and different books to talk about. But to my core, I am someone who like loves to hyperfixate on things and obsess over things. And so if I'm really loving a series, I do want to like allow myself this year just like binge read a series and think about more creative ways to make my content interesting and still do that. Okay, my next bookish in for the year is covers that have oil paintings on them. They are so much more stunning to me than like a cartoon cover. Not to hate on the cartoon covers because like they have their place in time and I like them a lot more than like the steamy photo covers that I feel like we used to get. My favorite, my top tier kind of cover is a nice oil painting like Piglet by Lottie Hazel, Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. Like those are just so good. And especially a painting where you can tell that like an artist really put time and thought into the cover. I love it. I also think with the rise of AI, I am just really leaning into loving the authenticity of like human work, human connection, human art. Of course, AI could make like an oil painting, but I think for me, the oil painting where you know that like an artist created that cover to go with the story, it just, I feel like it warms my heart in the age of AI. Like I want to see stuff that does not look like AI created it, you know? Okay, my next bookish in of the year is more nonfiction. I know I already said more genres in general, but I think nonfiction has so much to offer. And I feel like a lot of times I do not want to read nonfiction. So I think just challenging myself again to find nonfiction that looks interesting, especially I think on audiobook, it kind of would just feel like a podcast. And so challenging myself to lean into some more nonfiction titles that look interesting to me is definitely something that I want to try to do this year. Okay, another in that I have for 2025 is an ambiance to match the vibe. And by this, I mean like going on YouTube and searching up snowy ambiance. Like if the book that you're reading is set during a snowstorm and your characters are like snowed in, find like snowy cabin ambiance on the TV that matches the vibe of your book. If you're reading a beach read, like summer romance book, find like a beach ambiance and match it to the vibe of the book. And with really popular books and series, like when I was reading ACOTAR, I put on like a Valeris ambiance, which was so fun. So that is another great one. And like with Fourth Wing, you can put on like a Bisgayeth War College ambiance. And there's like literal dragons that like fly in the background. It's so cool. So that for me is one that I definitely want to continue in 2025. Just like really enhances the experience. So that is a huge recommendation I have and one that I definitely want to continue doing in 2025. Whew. Okay, those are all of my bookish ins and outs that I thought of for 2025. My bookish State of the Union, if you will. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Before you go, let me know in the comments down below, what are some of your bookish ins and outs for the year? I think it's so fun to just sit and chat about all things bookish. I am definitely interested to hear what you guys are trying to take into the new year and leave in 2024. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up down below if you enjoyed it, and also subscribe to my channel if you're new here so you don't miss a video from me. I think that's going to be it for today's video, but I will see you guys for another one super soon. Bye everyone.